What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Nerdy Mark channel. I am Sid the Nerdy Mark. I'm joined by my good friend Mosh. Once again, you didn't think
What up? What up?
you didn't think we would be back this early, did you? I mean, we last time we talked, it was like Book of Boba Fett. That was like a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it?
It feels like that, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
some time.
Now, I mean, in case you're wondering, today we're going to be talking about Doctor Strange. No, I'm kidding. We're talking about this right here, the Batman. I didn't have my Batman shirt, so I said, let me compensate with the logo. I actually used to have one, but it got like too, it got too small, and it started like tearing. So I was like, okay, I have to get it.
So check it out, dude.
Oh yeah,
This it has the utility belt thing.
yeah. And it's got
Outline.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you have
It has,
abs. You have abs now.
it has
Oh
fake
shit.
abs.
That's all you got to do, guys. You don't have to work out, diet, nothing. Just buy a Batman shirt like that, and you'll have six-pack abs in no time.
So funny story about this particular shirt. I have a couple other Batman shirts and stuff, but
Mhm.
this, if I recall, was from 2012
Okay.
in Universal Studios, Florida,
Oh, nice.
on a family trip with, and my brother and I went around Universal and that kind of thing. I saw it a bit pricey. I was like, that's a cool Batman shirt, and I didn't have any at that time. I'm like, you know what? Let me go grab this. And I for him, I got an Avengers shirt. And this is
Yeah.
literally the same. This is the year that Avengers 1 came out.
Mm.
So we're going way back. And I actually graduated college that year. And I actually don't wear this too much because it's super flashy, super,
Yeah. I
and
mean, you go to like Comic Con or something. That's definitely
but
you'll
this is
be
a
right at home.
yeah, the great
Yeah.
great opportunity to finally bust this shirt out. So,
Right. Exactly. Yeah. All right. So today we're going to talk about the Batman. It came out March 3rd, right? And yeah, we get. I did my spoiler-free review on this. So today, as you know, if Mosh is here, we're usually going to talk spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, this is your warning right now. And
spoiler warning.
yeah, but before we get into like super juicy plot details, like how about quick thoughts on your end from the movie? Everyone heard my
Yeah,
thoughts. I did drop like an 8-minute video on what I thought about the movie, but let's hear yours.
yeah,
Let me tell me what you thought about the Batman.
yeah. Quick thoughts for sure. It's this and The Dark Knight should be considered the two best by far
Yeah, for sure.
of
I
all
agree.
Batman movies. And I which one's better is a really hard question because they're both amazing in their own way.
Hmm.
But I'd say that at least at the very minimum, they're on
Excuse
par
me.
with each other for how good they are.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so the Batman movie is to me the best Batman movie. Da-da-da. And but The Dark Knight arguably could be just a better film by
Just a movie. Yeah.
overall,
Hmm.
regardless of the Batman or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, this should be considered one of the top comic book movies that have been made, and certainly one of the top Batman inspired films ever, and arguably the most comic book accurate movie that I have seen.
Yeah.
So
Definitely. Yeah.
to me, a quick score is a 9 out of 10 for sure.
Yeah. So that's also two thumbs up for you. So, um, yeah, but like I guess for me, I would say you talked about Dark Knight. That is actually my favorite Batman movie of all time. But this one is that close. That close, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know if they could have done anything better. It's just I don't know. I guess I just think the presentation of the Dark Knight was like just a sliver better than the presentation here, but that's it. Like there's barely any differences. So, but I thought this was a great movie. I already talked about my thoughts on this,
yeah,
so you can watch that video if you want. But um, okay, let's get into some plot points. I wanted to first talk about the Riddler's intro. Dude, he just comes in and beats someone to death.
yeah.
This is the most violent Riddler I think we've seen so far. And we saw, well, okay, there's only been a couple of iterations of the Riddler from the Batman animated series to Batman Forever with Jim Carrey, which was a very over the top performance by Jim Carrey. That was actually
Yep.
a perfect character for him. But dude, Riddler gets just beats someone to death. As like I said, the most violent, most darkest, most demented depiction of the Riddler I think I've ever seen so far.
Yeah, he's a very paranoid serial killer type, psychotic serial killer,
Mhm.
unhinged, who's also a genius and wants to make you think to find him and do all these elaborate riddles. A much darker take, way better, we can agree, than the kind of over the top silliness of previous
Yeah.
times.
Oh yeah.
And it he mentioned in other reviews, he's very much the Zodiac killer in this kind of story.
Basically, if you've seen
He's
Zodiac, yeah,
very much Zodiac killer, and we'll get into the directing and all that. Phenomenal job, Matt Reeves. Kudos to him.
right. Damn, now I want David
very-
Fincher to direct a Batman movie.
Very much
That'd be dope.
inspired by Seven and the Zodiac killer itself. Those kind of darker films. So
There is. Have you seen the movie Zodiac though? With
is that with Jake Gyllenhaal?
Jake Gyllenhaal, Robert Downey Jr., and I think Mark Ruffalo.
RDJ.
Those
I think I
that was a good
watched
movie.
it a while back, but it's been a while, so I'm a bit fuzzy on it.
Yeah, that was good. Oh man, I'm sorry. Zoom, I forgot, is like basically a mirror, so I'm having a little hard time brushing my hair out of my head. Anyway, no, I think Zodiac that was a great movie, and like I said, the director David Fincher. I joke, but I think now I kind of want it. I want to see David Fincher direct another Batman movie. That would be so crazy. Especially
One of
with
the best directors.
we'll talk about the end later, of course, towards the end. But yeah, I think I love that they took their time to like introduce Batman. Like they had the bat signal, and he didn't just go boom, I'm Batman. They took his time, like the slowly increasingly louder footsteps, and then you see Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, that was an epic introduction. And the footsteps, oh my goodness, in the darkness, and Bruce Wayne, Bruce Wayne just talking, narrating, sorry, just like in the comics. Bravo to the directing again, because this is the most obvious inspiration from an actual comic book that I can recall. That being Batman Year One and also The Long Halloween.
Right.
If anyone is not familiar, whether you're a comic book fan or not, those two are like almost straight from the comics. This movie.
Yeah, I actually definitely need to. I did want to go back and watch the Year One on the HBO Max, but I didn't have time. I'll definitely have to watch it either sometime today or tomorrow, and Long Halloween, which they made into two parts.
Check it out.
And also
it is perfectly from there.
I think there's also a little bit of Hush in this one too. And again, and like the Riddler kind of hints to it in the end, towards the end, but we'll talk about that. But no, I think, and then also like you talked about his narration, we find out that those are actually journal entries. He's actually keeping a diary or a journal because it is his second year as Batman, so he's obviously still kind of finding his footing, and and I love that. Instead of, unlike in previous iterations, he's not flanked by like a bunch of girls and he goes and says and he just writes a check and says, I'm buying this hotel. No, he doesn't do that, because he's still trying to get the hang of being Batman and Bruce Wayne and being like that. And basically he's living a double life, but unfortunately that's kind of the price you pay for wanting to do good for your city.
A lot of people are upset, or they wish they saw that Playboy billionaire persona he has, because we know that that's not. We know that that's not the real Bruce Wayne, and he is really the guy in the cave, probably between going out and coming back as Batman in the suit. And I had some interesting practical questions about him actually doing the whole Batman deal in the suit. We'll get to that later, but but we know that the pure, most real, the most pure form of Bruce Wayne is the dude in the cave, just finding the criminals and talking to Alfred. about just go. What is his mission? What's he trying to do? Avenge his parents. Is the whole
Yeah.
goal of cleaning up Gotham. And one thing I thought about from a long time is if you just rename this film as just Gotham City or something, I feel like the effect would still be the same. It's
Yeah.
basically the same.
Oh yeah, and we talked about speaking of Alfred though, like it's funny because I was telling my sister about the movie and I was like, oh, it's really good. And she's like, oh, who's playing Alfred? I was like, oh, Andy Serkis, the Golem, and so she's like, what? But he's too young. I was like, well, this is a younger Batman. So I had to remember that because they still. I love that they keep reminding us that hey, this is Batman when he's like just starting out, and
Yeah.
um, and you talked about Bruce Wayne, the purest form of Bruce Wayne. I saw a review where they said, the character of Batman has three different personalities. One is the genius, billionaire, philanthropist, playboy, Bruce Wayne. One is Bruce Wayne in the Batcave working late nights in order to see that Gotham City is what's going on in Gotham. And then, of course, the Batman who goes out there and actually, meets out the justice needed, in this to clean
Yep.
up the city. So,
For
and
sure, three characteristics.
and another great way that they showed a couple of great ways they showed that this was like the initial stages of Batman was like the Batcave. It's like it's basically just like a elaborate workshop, you know?
Yes.
It's very I mean he still has some like a very advanced tools in there like his contact lenses and everything, which was really really cool to see.
That was
But
cool.
more or less it's not really like a cave. It's just like a garage or a den, you
Yep.
know? And
Excellent way to put it.
I really like that. I really like that because it's like, well, yeah, Bruce Wayne's got the money, but he still doesn't know how to freaking utilize it to do what he's got to do, right? So yeah, I mean, that was a very interesting way to do it. And also, like, we don't see the Batmobile for a long time. He's usually just going around in the little motorbike, um, and I guess that would kind of be like uh, the foundation of the Bat bike or the Bat cycle, whatever it's called. But yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah, I have to say this is one of my favorite looking bat caves in the movies
Hmm.
in a while because of course the past decade or so we've had the Dark Knight trilogy and then the introduction of the DCEU,
The
BVS,
Zack
and
Snyder, yeah,
Justice League, and now we're here with this young guy. So we've had a few different iterations of the Batcave from a aesthetic standpoint, but Batcave and the Wayne Manor in
way
this one
better.
looked like so classic design, like
It's very
gothic and
gothic. It's very gothic.
gothic, yeah,
Yeah,
and it makes me feel like this is a story from back in the day, from the original days of Batman.
yeah.
So
And I love
I
that like
love it.
they actually have him wear like the black makeup on his eye, like eyeshadow, whatever. Um,
Yeah,
and that makes sense because Batman is like, yeah, he's got to darken as many parts of it, and the mask on the eyes only goes up to like here, so you can still see
yeah.
like his skin. So he has to blacken it out as much as he can. I don't know if
Yeah,
I don't know. He just takes a can of spray paint and just goes. I don't know, but
I'm pretty sure
I
that's
hope not.
like he's doing what mostly females do with
Like
eyeliner,
mascara, probably mascara.
mascara. It's gonna be like that, or it could be like a football player thing. They use that tar deal
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
to block the
Probably.
eyes, to block the
But no,
sun.
that makes sense. That was really cool. Like I think like this was one of the most sensible Batman movies out there. Not saying that
Mhm.
everything else, every other Batman movie was like made no sense, but this one they really kept it grounded, and I think they
Practical.
really, yeah, and they removed the mystique of Batman because remember in this he's the police still don't really like him in this movie. The only person who like really wants to vouch for him is Lieutenant
Gordon.
Lieutenant Gordon, not even Commissioner Gordon yet. Lieutenant Gordon,
Mhm.
played by Jeffrey Wright. By the way, Alfred and Gordon, they are just as important to the Batman mythos as someone like as the villains, as the Bat family. Just because some people they tend to overlook these characters, but no, these guys they did a really good job. I love that he's actually solving mysteries in this, and he's
Yeah.
not just going out there. And I mean, yeah, I mean the fight scenes where he has fight scenes, he wastes all those bad guys, but like it's not about fight scenes. It's about like him trying to solve this murder. So it became like a murder mystery, which is exactly what he needs to be doing because he's going to because this is a precursor into becoming the world's greatest detective, and that was really really cool. And I also love one thing I got to say. We talked about how practical this was and how grounded it was. He literally just walks into places as Batman. Like he doesn't think, oh shoot, I got to take the mask off and be Bruce Wayne. I'm just going to come in as Batman because I don't give a shit. So,
So a little bit of backstory in terms of if you have read or watched the Year One comic, and there is an animated version,
Mhm.
that if you like watch that and go into watching this, it actually makes perfect sense because as he is beginning his Batman Cape Crusading journey, he has a reason for everything. How he got the suit design, how he got his all of the tools he needs, how he learned the martial arts he needs to win, and how he made allies with Jim Gordon in the first place. Because the reason really is because the city corruption is to such a bad extent, such a crazy extent, that he's the only one he can trust anyway in the police force. That it's so bad corruption. A lot of the we'll get to that. Like there is a lot of organized crime by major crime bosses, specifically Maroni and
Falcone
Falcone. Yes,
and
correct.
Cobblepot.
Those two are the main criminal
And the
bosses,
Penguin.
and they're mentioned. They are very important presence in both those comics, Year One and Long Halloween. They like it's like a crime boss movie, like a crime mafia movie, and Batman's just like
It's like
one figure,
if
just
you
one
watched
part of that.
if you watch like the movie Untouchables, it feels kind of like that in a way.
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
old movie. Kevin Costner, Sean Connery, and a couple of other guys, and
Yeah.
Robert De Niro as Al Capone. Really good movie if you haven't watched it. Anyway,
Classic.
it's great. And so we talked about organized crime. I guess that comes to my next point, and that was the Penguin. Colin Farrell, dude. Okay, yes, everyone, and I said this in my spoiler-free review, but everyone is praising his makeup team, which yes, they deserve it. But I think he definitely accentuated his performance with his delivery, his dialogues, the way he talks, everything. He just completely disappeared into the Penguin. And Colin Farrell, like he's a Scotsman, I think, or is he Irish? I forgot, but
Yeah.
he's one of those, and like yeah, he's come a long way from playing Bullseye in the Daredevil movie, that's for sure. So
We always reference that one.
yeah, he's definitely come a long way. That was great.
I'm interested in seeing this guy's like screen test, like before the makeup,
Mhm.
because it's because to get to that, he first had to audition and get through that process and
Exactly.
win that role before the makeup and over that. So
For sure.
I'm like, how does Colin Farrell in his regular, in his regular look without anything, pull that off like in a screen test? That's pretty incredible. So yeah, he killed it. And I'm glad to see, we're all happy to see a much more realistic take on the Penguin. Not some weird, sewer guy from like the original Batman movies.
Although, okay, I did enjoy that though. I did like it. It was cool. It was fun.
Yeah, but it's nice to see
fun,
this grounded version. And I imagine a lot of people have seen the show Gotham on Fox. I'm sure
I saw parts of it. I didn't watch like the whole thing. I don't know. I wasn't that invested into it.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard it was okay, but yeah, like yeah.
I also watched a couple of seasons of that show until I didn't continue. But what they did with the character in that show is very much similar to what they're doing here. He's a guy from kind of like a very, he didn't have much growing up, not much there of a background. He gets into the crime organization. He goes up in the ranks, and then he becomes the number 2 for like one of the major crime bosses in the city. So he's just there for himself and he ends up being part of the biggest crime organizations and a crucial part of the movie. I love his take in this movie.
Oh, it was good. And the thing is, a lot of people, you're not the only person, like myself and many other people included, really loved Colin Farrell as the Penguin. And it's good news for all of us because they are doing a HBO miniseries with Colin Farrell as the Penguin. That should be very exciting.
Yeah.
That was gonna. I love they're doing that. It's gonna be cool. I wanted to say one thing. I wanted to go back a little bit, go to talk about the suit that Batman wears.
Thank
Definitely
you. I was gonna ask about that.
yeah, it was. It was. I liked it. It felt like it was taking a lot of inspiration from the Arkham games, particularly Arkham Knight, with it being bulletproof and everything. I love that. That the bat symbol is actually like a weapon. Or like the batarang. He can just take it off and like throw it. Kind of like
Yes.
what they did with what they're doing, I guess, with Moon Knight in the new series. Like he has the little crescent. He can actually take it off and like beat people to death with it. But no, I think it was really cool. But like I like that his pants, they feel almost like, and his boots kind of feel like he bought it from like a military surplus store, which again I can totally get it. I'm not complaining about it at all. I think that it actually adds to the the level of expertise or lack thereof for
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne / Batman. I think Matt Reeves, man, he really paid attention to every single detail because, he just said, okay, okay, wait, if it's just a second year, how would his suit look? Okay, he may be able to get that part done, but he definitely would probably have like, he'd still definitely be starting out, So that I just love that he took the time to, give that attention to detail. So yeah, again, we're praising Matt Reeves a lot, but like, dude, the guy made a damn good movie, So yeah.
So if I can
No,
get
please.
on the Batsuit for a second.
Please.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite design. I really enjoyed it. And it's supposed to be his first year of Batman, first second year of Batman.
Mhm.
So it's supposed to look. It's an early design, and to be honest, if you think this design looks like the more homemade version and not a complete Batman suit, then
The year one.
in the video game, yeah, year one comic, but in the video game Arkham Origins from
Yeah.
the original Arkham
Yeah,
trilogy,
I played that one.
that really looked like original design, like a early design of the Batman.
Yeah, it just basically that I played that one. That one looked like a muscle suit, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
like
just a muscle suit that he put the Batman symbol on, and there you go.
he's wearing actual. He's wearing actual
Sorry.
boots. He's wearing actual army-looking pants, or out there in survival for all conditions. And it serves the purpose of taking down bad guys, whatever. It's one of my best looking suits I've seen for Pattinson.
Oh yeah,
We'll get to his performance. Now, I have a question for people in the comments or nerds of all kinds, anywhere. My question is, I have never seen a bat suit take bullets like this guy, ever. And he's straight up taking bullets as if he's Superman himself, just bouncing off.
Yeah.
And my question to people is, has every bat suit been bulletproof? Or was it particular specific bat suits? Or was it in specific comics or movies? Because even in the Dark Knight, they talked about like how it could maybe withstand a knife or something, or certain shots, but he's never taken machine gun fire in the bat suit. So I just want to know, has it always been bulletproof, or is it just depending on the story?
I know, I know for sure, I'm sure he has Kevlar or Teflon material and I'm sure he made it out of that, but even that would probably be maybe like a handgun or something it could protect you against. But like you said, machine gun fire, yeah, you'd be like Swiss cheese, man. But anyway, I don't know. I'm sure that there are some iterations in the comic books where Batman has had a bulletproof, more of a bulletproof suit. I guess I mean I'm definitely like the bat armor. I'm sure obviously that is bulletproof. Like the one that he wears in Batman v Superman. Like obviously that one
Oh, yeah.
is, but yeah, like I get your question. So I'm not sure either. So
So if you
leave that in
know,
the
please
comments.
comment below and tell
Yeah,
us
please.
which comic and which movie.
Yeah, and
And
then
I, both of us have probably have seen every single Batman movie from the very first one with
mm,
the original in the late 80s.
yeah,
And there have been times where criminals have tried to shoot him and whatever, and or stab him, and he has actually had pain, like in the Dark Knight. I feel like he did take damage in
he
the
did.
suit, even,
I'm sure he did.
and maybe earlier in Batman Begins, but I even in BVS, his cowl was bulletproof. In the fight, the warehouse scene, which will that's possibly still the best action ever for Batman.
Definitely one
The
of them. Yeah.
guys shot him in his cowl, and they shot his gauntlet things, and they bounced off. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. By
um,
the way, speaking of his gauntlets, like Patson has like some things on his gauntlets. I legit thought they were like rockets or something, but I guess they're just
I was
amplifying
wondering what that
punches.
was. Yeah.
I think it's just amplifying his punches and stuff like that. But whatever.
It looks like armor. Yeah, it looks like kind of some kind
Yeah.
of armor.
Speaking of
Yeah.
another thing, okay, we need to talk about this because the probably one of the best sequences in this movie, that chase scene with the penguin.
Oh,
They
yes.
find the Batmobile. The Batmobile. Okay, it looks very
That was
classic.
so epic.
I mean, it does look pretty bare bones, but I kind of like it. I thought it was a very kind of like a prototype.
Bare bones. What looks bare bones?
The Batmobile, because it felt like like a old school
Oh,
muscle car,
it's a muscle car from Fast and the Furious that they made
basically.
into Batmobile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure he talked with Dominic Toretto and said family a bunch of times and got it from him. So anyway, but
Which he
that's what
is.
Dominic Toretto would be like. That's if he was Batman. It's like, who are you?
Bro, when that car engine was revving up
I was like,
in the rain under the machine gun fire from the Penguin goons, that it was like a monster came to life, bro. Like I have never. That's probably one of the most epic scenes, jaw-dropping scenes of the movie.
oh yeah, and then
Because the criminals are already like, this Batman guy, we're shooting him, we're doing all these things, and he's not going down. And then you got this monster of a vehicle, so they're like, are we fighting a monster too and Batman? So it's really like gonna mess with the heads of all the criminals.
Yeah,
awesome.
And like, oh man, that chase scene though, it was so good. I love like when he the penguin blows up something and he's like, I got you, and the Batmobile just goes, which is exactly. I was like, oh my god, that was great. That like I became 5 for a few minutes there, and I like that. I also like the fact that there's no music during that chase scene. It's just
I forget that. Yeah,
there was no music, just like in the Dark Knight with that chase scene with the Joker. Where he's in that little truck, which he has said, slaughter is the best medicine. Like there was no music in that, and that was amazing. That was a great directorial choice.
You're right. The music kicked off at a certain point, but for a while it was no music, and it really the sound was all from the shooting and from the people describing it. It was really awesome, and I went back and watched The Dark Knight, and I thank God for Christopher Nolan, because that sequence is like, that film is just amazing work of directorial efforts. And
Nolan's like one of my favorite directors because of that, for sure.
You know what? Matt Reeves is basically my new favorite director now, for sure. And he's really not made any bad films, but the ones that come to mind are really the Planet of the Apes, the last two.
Planet of the Apes, yeah.
And then especially War, if you haven't seen it.
Okay.
And then highly recommend. And then this one, thanks to him and a lot of people, pointing out the cinematography, I am paying way more attention to just how a shot looks and how the colors impact the shot and the aesthetics. And I'm just like, dude, this this guy is the king of cinematography and
Like yeah,
cinema.
because he
And
knows. Like and yeah, that goes back to like him giving that attention to detail and really paying attention to what needs to, what the tone needs to be. And like, yeah, a lot of grungy and dark tones in this movie. And I think it makes a lot of sense for that. And again, going for that more gothic kind of vibe, which again is perfect. I would say like it also has there are some elements of horror films in this movie, which is fine,
yeah,
along with the murder mystery. Speaking of murder mysteries, I want to talk a little bit about the dynamic between Batman and Gordon. They really give off a bit of a Sherlock Holmes, Dr. Watson kind of vibe.
that's a good
Um,
point.
and we didn't. Oh, but we didn't even talk about the Riddler. We'll talk about that in a sec. But
There's so much to talk about. So
yeah,
yeah,
there is. I mean, we should make. I mean, at this point, we need to make like two parts to this. No,
we could.
we could, but even I know it's a spoiler discussion, but we also really want if to watch the movie anyway. And also leave your. I mean, if we missed anything, that's why you got to leave your stuff in the comments. But yeah, I like the fact that there was a bit of that Sherlock Holmes, Watson vibe from both Gordon and Batman. Although it's like they both kind of interchange the role between Batman sometimes as the Watson and Gordon sometimes as Sherlock and vice versa.
Yeah.
Um, I like
And
that.
one more thing before we continue on that particularly. One last thing about Reeves and everything and the cinematography.
Mhm.
I think my favorite shot, maybe ever, but definitely in this film, was upside down. Uh, Penguin in the car upside
Oh
down.
yeah,
Batman in the
that was
rain
good.
with the fire, bro. That's got to be the greatest shot I've ever seen in a
I need that
Batman.
wallpaper, man. I really need that wallpaper.
That
I need
is dope.
yeah,
Yes.
or like
And he
like
actually
someone make a
he's actually
poster.
looking in the car. Like he turns his head and goes in the car, and the camera can see him coming. That was so epic.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was great. And then yeah, but I mean I just wanted to say like because I just like the kind of the mystery solving stuff, like the Riddler's clues and all that stuff. Like there was a dude's thumb attached to a thumb drive, so he's like thumb drive.
Speaking of
Like
speaking
you
of
know.
so we everyone knows that Batman, and if anyone ever, I definitely recommend people checking out like a history of Batman or whatever on YouTube. He is one of the earliest comic book characters to begin with.
Yeah.
The very first issue came out in 1940. Okay, so that's
Oh wow.
like before
Yeah.
World War II. That's forever ago. So he's been a part of pop culture basically forever. For better part of a decade, sorry, a century or whatever.
Mhm.
But everyone knows he's the world's greatest detective. He's supposed to solve crime. The orphan billionaire. He dedicates his life to crime fighting and all those things based because of his family's tragic past, and he also became the world's greatest detective. We Besides the animated shows and that kind of thing, we don't always see the detective side of
Yeah.
him
Exactly.
in the movie. Now, however, in there are some hints of that, like in The Dark Knight, he does do detective work. He has to
Yeah.
find some shooter from a shattered bullet or whatever, and he in BVS he's doing some detective work a bit. Finds a kryptonite for Superman.
Yeah.
Um,
But it almost
this
felt like but it almost felt
this movie
obligatory. Yeah.
is this movie is the most detective work, the most
Exactly.
detective
Yeah.
focused Batman in any Batman movie. And kudos again to
Matt
Reeves,
Reeves. Damn.
but this is classic Batman. This is classic comic
It
book
is.
Batman.
It
We're
is.
used to.
And I mean, like I was just saying, like in the previous movies when he did like detective work, it almost felt obligatory. He's like, oh wait, oh he's a detective. Oh, that's right. Okay, to have him do some detective work. It just felt like that. Okay, that's just my opinion. But yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, especially with all that stuff. Now we talked a lot about it being inspired by Long Halloween and Year One. Uh, I talked about this in my spoiler free review as well. If you've seen the 2003 2004 show The Batman, that is like his initial years as Batman. I would say that they took a few things from there as well. I saw just a couple of things here and there, nothing too major, but you can see that. And also, like Reeves himself said, this is like a more of a villain origin story, which I get. I totally get that.
Yeah,
Because we didn't even talk about Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman.
we haven't got to her yet. Yeah,
I mean, yeah, well, let's go ahead, dude. She does a great job. She's really good. Like, this is probably, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is one of the most physical Catwomans I think we've seen so far. We're not
Catwomen.
Catwomen. I mean, because Michelle Pfeiffer did a great job in the 1989 Batman Returns. She did good. She did a good one there, but and even like and with the Anne Hathaway in The Dark Knight Rises, like yeah, she was good, but like, and she had a few fight sequences, but most of them were just like her teaming up with Batman. She didn't have like a sequence to her own. And by the way, I guess let's find out what she is Falcone's daughter. Um,
That was crazy
yeah,
twist. Yeah.
it was a crazy twist, and I remember. Okay, when she said that out loud, she's like, "He's my father," and I heard like a couple of people go. I heard a couple of people in the theater go. I was like, oh, really? I was like, okay, you saw
they
all this shit, and this is the most surprising thing to you.
they
know?
they did do a little, they did change that origin story of her a little bit, which is cool,
Yeah,
but giving her a personal connection to the one of the main crime bosses and one of the main villains, I guess, in this Gotham City is pretty unique to a story.
it
Yeah,
is interesting, and like, because I think, because we don't really know that much about Selena Kyle, and so you could kind of do kind of anything with her, almost anything,
yeah.
and I don't want to make the comparison to the Joker, but I'm just saying. Um, I feel like Zoe Kravitz, like she gave one of the most physical performances in this movie. She does such a great job, and like I think she even like got herself into the shape to play. No, I mean like she was always like in pretty good shape, but like I could see like there were scenes where like you could see like her muscles like rippling. I was like, oh my god, this woman will kill me if I do something wrong. And it was great. I loved it. I mean, and by the way, this is also a origin story for Catwoman in a way because she still doesn't have her iconic whip. You know, she's like, I mean, she still has like her handbag, and I mean, she uses a handgun, but I don't know when she'll transition into the whip because I think the only one that had actually think about it, the only one that had a whip was Michelle Pfeiffer. Not even Anne Hathaway had one.
No,
And yes, we are purposefully ignoring the 2004 Catwoman movie. That doesn't count. Anyway,
what?
yeah, I know. I'm sorry. That was that's in another alternate universe. Anyways, but no, I think that was cool though. But like, and like but this made more sense because she is a younger Catwoman for her not to
Yeah.
have like a whip, like the one that she usually has.
So her, my favorite thing is that her and Bruce are both beginning their journey
Mm-hmm.
in this Gotham City, in this version of Batman, and they both of them are figuring their own stuff out and figuring their own life out and how they want to proceed and everything, and they come into like psychological differences or views, and yeah, she grew up in a very difficult background too, upbringing, just like Bruce did, of course. But he understands that if you let yourself go down the path of revenge, and especially if you take a life,
Yeah,
that and they
there's no
have
coming
that
back from.
conversation. Yeah, they have
Yeah,
that
and
conversation,
yeah,
and
that was good. That was good. Like he
and it's
stops.
like I'm glad that they let him like give his reasoning why I choose to keep this, this rule, and I'm not going to break this rule, and why you, Catwoman, should also think about, not letting your life go, throw your life. He says, don't throw your life away, whatever. And she is a grown woman, and she can do whatever she wants. But I love that. Like he does care about her after,
Yeah.
trying to help her in her situation with the crime under family, the
It's
crime
also
boss, and bring each
that's I
other.
guess that's a bit of a callback to Under the Red Hood, where he tells Jason Todd why he has his no kill rule. Um,
Yeah.
that was interesting. They put it in there.
Excellent
And
story. Yes.
speaking of which, I want to talk about this towards the end. I have a couple of questions, and now let's talk about the Riddler. So I have something to say. Paul Dano. This is my first time seeing one of his movies, seeing him in a movie. And okay, and the Riddler, by the way, he's in this movie. He's kind of like a social media influencer. Like he goes, does like, no, that's what he is, because he's like always on like Instagram lives, or he's always like doing like live streams and shit. And he's
He's
like,
a Twitter troll.
he
He's
is,
doing
and
streams.
he's like he definitely has a, I don't know, he almost gives the Joker, almost gives the Joker a run for his money in terms of how diabolical he is. Almost, I said almost. I didn't say he does. Almost, okay. And he, and then he also has like the voice filter, and he kind of talks a little bit like Bane, which was cool.
With the mask.
With the mask, that again, it was like a makeshift Riddler mask, but it was really nice.
I thought it was cool.
It was great, and I think also we see Paul Dano. I think so. We talked about our favorite sequence, which was the chase scene. But my favorite scene of all time in this movie was when we see him unmasked and he's talking to Batman, because a couple of things happen there. One, he goes, he does he kind of gives his reasoning of why he did what he did, because he was also in that orphanage that Thomas Wayne was funding, but the project, I forgot what the project was called, but
Renewal, I think.
Renewal, yeah, the Renewal Act. How it had a lot of plot holes, and when Wayne was running for mayor, he did a lot of covering up, and got the help of Falcone to do that. We find out that Falcone. So it's weird because Bruce Wayne always thought of his father as like the ideal man, but finds out that he's actually not perfect, and that's the thing. I mean, never meet your heroes in that sense. And
they gave this movie, Reeves and the movie decided to give a little bit more backstory to Bruce's parents and Thomas and Martha, and show them as people who were kind of flawed, even though their reputation was always like almost
squeaky
untouchable,
clean.
almost totally squeaky clean. But they decided to a little bit, I don't know if it's curveball, but go a little bit step in the direction of giving them a little bit of a darker backstory and making it more morally ambiguous for our protagonist Bruce, and kind of giving him a lot of moral dilemmas on top of the crime fighting and Batman.
If you think about it, pretty much everyone except for Bruce Wayne, everyone is kind of morally ambiguous in this movie. Well, maybe Gordon's okay, and Alfred. I mean, Alfred was just doing what he thought was right. So, and Alfred, I think Andy Serkis did a good job. One of the bombs that the Riddler sets off does go off for Bruce Wayne, and
I was scared.
I legitimately thought, I was like, oh my god, are they killing off Alfred in this movie?
I was scared too. Yeah,
me too. I was like, oh no, they're killing Alfred, but no, he turns out that he just suffered some major injuries, and now he's like in the hospital. And that was a good scene too, with both of them in the hospital, and first Bruce Wayne be like, you lied to me, and then Alfred's like, no, this is why we had to do what we had to do, and that was great. And he starts, and we see slowly him transitioning from just his assistant or his butler or his confidant into that father figure that he would later kind of become for Bruce Wayne, even in his later years, and that was very beautifully done. But I have to get back to this the Riddler, the scene with the Riddler. My God, Paul Dano gives a tremendous performance in this movie. I was blown away by this. I was like, oh my God, this guy's such a good actor. And now I actually want to go see more of his movies. I heard like There Will Be Blood and all those other movies were really good, so I'll have to definitely go check those out. But dude, I was floored by his performance. It was, I'm speechless. So yeah, go ahead, Mosh. You can take over.
Yeah, that scene was really good, and we're talking spoilers, right? So my question is, does he know that that's Bruce Wayne? Or
I was just about to say, that was I had a couple of questions written down. That was one of my questions.
Because I thought, because the way he's talking, he's saying, he's acting like he he knows that that's Bruce Wayne in
Yeah,
that suit.
and you know, you see Batman going, "Oh shit!" And but luckily he's kind of like in the shadows, so he can't. So the Riddler can't gauge his expressions. That was really cool. And then of course he's looking at the camera and thinking, "Oh my god, are they gonna find out?" And then he's like, "Yeah, we missed him, didn't we?" As if they were both. He felt like they were both working together. So and that was cool. And again, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The best villains, some of the best villains, are the ones that think that they're doing the right thing. And
Yeah.
the Riddler thought he was doing the right thing because he's like, yeah, I'm going to, clean up the corruption in this city, and Batman wants to do the same thing, and it was cool because Batman in the beginning he says, "I am vengeance," right? But
Yep.
one of the Riddler's followers, actually, the Riddler has like a bunch of followers that the whole idea is he's gonna blow up the dam and have the city flood, and so that
Yeah.
so that all the politicians and all the higher ups have to go all the way up to like the topmost floor where his followers will go and like gun them all down. And there is in the background there is an election happening in the background. So
That's true.
and one of the candidates does get killed by the Riddler. So like the other candidate who he favors, she gets elected as whatever, I think the mayor or whatever, some elected office. But it was crazy because and then after that scene was really good too. That fight scene was great. That also reminded me a little bit of the Arkham. But at the end, he takes off one of the Riddler guy's masks, and that guy says, "I am vengeance." And that's when he realizes, he's like, "Oh my god, I've been like an enabler for the Riddler and all these other people. Like
Yep.
they took me as an inspiration to do all these heinous acts." And then that's when he realizes, like, no, I have to be a beacon of hope instead of being a symbol of vengeance.
So we're seeing actual legitimate character development for this superhero within the confines of one movie. Really well played, maybe better played than any other film. But Bruce believes that being vengeance, which he is, and they actually call him that in the film, as his name.
Yeah, more than Batman.
So that's
this should have been called Vengeance instead of The Batman.
And you barely even hear the word Batman in the movie. So he's going through character development. He believes that his mission is just to put fear in the hearts of criminals at nighttime. And the coolest line is when that light goes on, it's not just a signal, it's a warning. And then he takes down those goons or whatever. I loved it, but he realized because those words end up inspiring actual killers or whatever,
criminals.
So he's criminals. His own mission had to change. He realized
exactly
his own motivation is like, no, this is wrong. Like if I allow others to follow this example and take just matters into their own hands, he basically failed what he tried to accomplish to begin with.
Exactly.
So then he realized, I need to be a hope for this city and help them and see them that I'm here to protect the people, not just avenge and be vengeance against criminal underworld, and that's it. So I love.
And also, I guess he also talks about one more thing. I guess we'll talk about the suit. We find out it's not only bulletproof, it's also shockproof, which was awesome. Because he like.
I don't get it.
Like how?
I don't understand. We can talk about that more later because
I mean I think that's like the one fantastical element of the movie. I mean, but I think that one thing can be forgiven because I mean he is Batman. He's got a shitload of money. I'm sure he must have paid someone to. You know what I think, because like at the beginning of the movie he's walking around in that one bat suit, and it's towards like the latter half of the movie. He has the bat suit where he can take off the Batman symbol and use it as a weapon, right? I feel, and this is just a theory, I think that was another suit. That's just my theory. I feel like that's another suit.
Possible, yeah.
Because he has different suits, but that was I was talk about
it. They didn't because they don't go into detail about how that suit was created and what goes into it, like they do in that Batman Begins with Lucius Fox.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how like the limits of that suit, or what, how much bulletproof it is, or
Oh yeah,
some
yeah.
because he's getting hit by sniper bullets, which is it's pretty like I don't very that goes to Kevlar, I think.
I
So
think so. Yeah.
yeah, like it's not like a regular weapon. It's pretty
Mhm.
intense, and so I'm just like, is this guy shot in partially, and then the other bullets bounce off, and then he's fighting
Yeah.
without dudes and all
That
this?
yeah.
Like
That's definitely
that's
something. Yeah, that's
intense.
definitely something that's a, yeah. It's very advanced. I mean, especially for someone who's just starting out. But I mean, at this point, I don't really pay too much attention to it. I just wanted to bring that up. That was just really interesting to see that it's shot
And
put too.
can I
Yes,
ask a
please.
completely random suit question?
Sure.
It's so random, no one even thinks about it. But this dude is dressed up in a full rubber suit that's supposed to be bulletproof and going out at night in the rain, dripping rain, and fighting criminals, and then coming back after doing that for all night. How how the hell does he keep it clean? Number one,
I wonder.
and how does he I mean, I hope he's taking a shower like every day, every night, like multiple times,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like that, like logistically speaking, that shoe's gotta be clean. It's wet and rubbery and sweaty and nasty. Plus he is going through all that. It's like, dang, bro, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. I think no, but I think like I mean, we see him going around every like I said, we see him going, traversing the streets of Gotham as Batman, just like that. Like literally, I wouldn't be surprised if he like just went to the store to buy milk and he was just dressed up as Batman. Um, and like I don't know, can you imagine though him going to the dry cleaners and saying, "Here, use the dry clean the suit." They find out it's the bat suit. It's like, oh, what?
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, but okay, I did want to say this. At the end of the movie, we
Yeah.
do get a hint at the Joker. Um, so that was
Oh, the tease. The tease.
get a very very subtle hint of the Joker. I like that was cool. I mean, it's okay that it's not Joaquin Phoenix because Joaquin Phoenix's Joker took place like in the 70s, I think, and
Yep.
that basically was more like an inspiration for other people. He became like an inspiration for other people, and I guess this was one of those guys who may have done that. So I'm guessing maybe in future Batman films or future films in this universe, we could see maybe archive footage of Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker, and whoever I forgot who the new actor is. I believe he was in Eternals or Shang-Chi, one of those movies, and he is going to probably be the Joker, which could be interesting. Uh, and again, this is like again, it's a villain origin story basically. Catwoman in the end goes off to Bloodhaven, where home of the Nightwing, and
Love Nightwing.
home of
Mhm.
Nightwing, and of course Falcone. Now he's like looking out. His last shot is him looking out into the city that basically he's going to take over. And the Riddler, he thinks he failed, but the Joker himself is like, no, you didn't fail. You did such a good job. And they basically become kindred
So
spirits. Yeah.
now this actually perfectly ties into a point that we haven't talked yet, and I really wanted to talk about, is that arguably the best actual character of the film is not an actual character. It's the city of Gotham, to
It
be
is.
honest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Matt Reeves himself said the city of Gotham is a character, and it's so
It
true. Like
is.
you the point is, it is the worst damn crime based city that you could possibly imagine. It
Mm-hmm.
is obviously it's like it's heavily inspired from New York City and whatever, but super filled with crime, corruption. Most of the police force is bent, is
Mm-hmm.
in the pockets of the crime bosses.
It is. Yeah.
A citizen can barely go home without fear of being mugged or whatever. So it's just a complete, poopy place. It's
It
really
is.
bad. Arguably best character, to me, the best Gotham City I have ever seen in any Batman movie or
Yeah.
show,
It felt
for sure.
alive. Yeah.
Best one for sure, and the most comic accurate one, and just overall best interpretation and character in the film. And to be honest, if you take Gotham away, it's not the same. It has
It
to be
isn't.
like that.
It isn't. No.
It's not.
No. Okay. Oh shoot. Sorry. I have a couple of questions. Then that's how I want to end out this video. So you know how we see like in the beginning when the Riddler kills that one official, the
Mayor.
son, the son is there and he's like super sad, and Batman keeps staring, looking at the son, and even at the funeral, Bruce Wayne keeps staring at that boy. Is it possible that that kid right there, down the line in the future, becomes Robin?
Robin. Another orphan.
Yeah, like it could be, because you see, Dick Grayson was an orphan. I think Tim Drake was an orphan. Jason Todd had a mother, but you know she also got killed. So I guess technically he's an orphan. That was gruesome. Yeah, I mean,
So home of rough childhood could join the Bat family.
is that, yeah, exactly. You know, doesn't matter. Yeah, because being an orphan doesn't, you know, because it doesn't matter how much money you have. You can still be an orphan.
Can we before we end on that? We didn't address Robert Pattinson himself. Actually,
Oh yeah.
And we really should have early on, but so a couple of things. We don't have to rank the best Batmans today, but to me, he's up there as one of the best Batman performances I've seen.
Oh,
in a
I agree.
movie.
I agree.
He's not too skinny or something like some people claim. No.
Oh yeah, no, he there are a couple of scenes where he has his shirt off and he looks great, man.
He's
Like,
in
he's
shape.
lean.
He has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not super bulky like Affleck, but he doesn't have to be. He's not.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And his voice is perfect for Batman. And when I will say, if you go back and watch the Dark Knight trilogy, the Christian Bale voice does kind of get annoying a bit after a while. We get what he's doing, but at least it's not like he's losing his voice, kind of like Batman.
It's like,
Really
dude, do you need some green tea or something? Shit. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, no, but yeah, I agree. I think Pattinson definitely gave a lot more of a realistic performance as Batman. And again, I said this again. I also said this before. I don't need to hear shit about him being a sparkly vampire anymore. That those days are over. You see this right here. That is his identity. That is his identity now.
Yeah.
He's Batman.
Yeah, and so people who just think of him as Twilight guy, basically you guys haven't watched him in enough movies.
Other movies, yeah.
Because after that, if you ever watched obviously Tenet, incredible.
Yeah, he did a good job in Tenet, yeah.
Amazing by Christopher Nolan. He did that really weird movie,
The Lighthouse.
The Lighthouse. Oh my god, that is so creepy and weird and awesome. Highly recommend that one.
Yeah.
This Water for Elephants movie, circus related. Something like that.
Okay.
So people who are just basically they're just dwindling down his whole career as Twilight. It's not really fair. I would highly recommend watching the other movies and then be like, that's a better idea for his
exactly, yeah. So okay, last question. And we talked about how kid might become Robin. Do you think we'll see eventually other members of the Bat family down the line? Like, will we see a Batgirl? Will we see, Nightwing, Red Hood, all these guys? Is this the way that they're bringing them in, whether it's through another movie or a TV show or whatever the case may be? Do you think that maybe we can see those guys in the future?
You know what? That's a great question. And nowadays, when making comic book movies, there has to be some sort of people make them with the expectation of a tie into a bigger universe thing. And this Batman, FYI for everyone, is separate from the DCEU. He's in his own universe. You could call it Earth 2 or whatever like that, like they would in DC Comics. So if they do it, it would have to be connected to this movie. They can't be joining the Flash and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And Superman, Henry Cavill, because that's a different universe. But all I hope is, please, Matt Reeves make a next one. Please.
I'm sure he will. I'm sure there's more. I feel like there's a lot of
He-
hints that there are more coming. He just didn't. Yeah, he just didn't give a huge hint. Like he didn't go and throw it at your face like, "Hey, look, we're making more movies." You know. I mean, and I think that's the mistake Zack Snyder made with Batman v Superman. He's like, "Oh, look, there's a Justice League movie coming. Look,
Oh,
look, it's Justice League." It's like, okay, we get it. You know, and it didn't become a 3-hour trailer for Justice League, and that was the one biggest mistake that they had were BBS, and it was like, oh, yeah,
pretty
it's
much.
2.5-hour trailer for Justice League. Awesome.
Pretty
Anyway,
much.
so
Yeah.
final thoughts, Mosh. Like I think overall, dude, great freaking movie. I just
Yep, 9 out of 10. Up there with the Dark Knights as the best Batman films ever made. I put them right next to each other at the moment.
absolutely.
And Matt Reeves, he directed one of the best comic book films ever.
Right.
It can be, you can put a top 10, whatever. I hope he comes back. If anything we learned is you get a director who understands a character so well and the comics and the source material so well that he's able to portray that from a visual standpoint, storytelling standpoint, acting, directing standpoint, and all that in a film that's 3 hours long. I thank God, and that makes all the difference in a great film versus a good film.
For sure. I am very excited to see what Matt Reeves has in store for us, or what this particular Batman universe, mythos, whatever you want to call it, the future of this franchise. I'm really looking forward to it. I know, like, we still have a sequel to Aquaman and Flash and Black Adam coming out. Those are going to be great too. I'm looking forward to those. But this one, something special about this movie, man. I don't know about you, but something special about this. Yeah, well, that's probably it. Okay. Anyway, but that pretty much does it for our spoiler discussion. Again, Mosh, thank you again for joining me. You'll definitely be seeing him a lot more on this channel. So be on the lookout for more spoiler discussions with my good buddy Mosh. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for all of your support. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on social media. Tell your friends about the Nerdy Mark. And make sure you hit that bell so that you're notified every time I upload a new video. With that, thank you for watching. This is Sid and Mosh. We're signing off. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.
Peace out.